so much for being here today. Your presence is a reflection of the love and respect and connection with Nick, myself, Gia, Nicole, and Gabriel. We chose to be on a baseball field today for a reason, and I'm going to tell you why. This was Nick's happy place, and if you knew Nick, he was not the happiest of campers all the time. But when he said this was his happy place, something went off in my mind, and let's make him happy. There you go, Nick. Nick was born into a baseball-loving family. His dad, Joe, played on the Cubs farm team in Oklahoma City. Nick went to watch every summer of his young life, accompanied by his grandmother and grandfather. They took the train from Chicago to Oklahoma City to join his dad and his mom. And when he got there, he was part of a team. He has wonderful memories of being on the field, sitting in the dugout, traveling on the team bus. They made him a mascot. He was part of the team. And that's why we're on the field today, because this is Nick's happy place. As we begin the celebration of Nick's life, I want you all to remember how Nick tortured you. Maybe a nice eye gouge. That was his signature move. Or maybe he made you laugh. We all share our stories and our smiles and maybe a few tears. But above all, we will remember and honor our time with Nick. To begin, Nick's favorite song will be sung by his beloved niece, Shauna, and I hope you'll all join in. Shauna, are you around? Here she is. Let's hear a hand for Shauna.
All right.
This was Nick's favorite song. All right.
Hi, everybody. This is not going to be some teary song, so don't worry. Just a few memories of Uncle Nick. Endless rides to and from O'Hare Airport. He did. He gladly did it for me so many times. I learned my best curse words from Uncle Nick when I was definitely under 10. Our Sunday dinners, Sunday gravy and meatballs, and he was in the kitchen with Aunt Pat, getting his hands dirty and making beautiful meals and bringing everyone together, which were, priceless memories for all of us. If you needed directions before GPS and before Google Maps, Uncle Nick was your man. He'd tell you 4 different ways to get to the same place, depending on traffic. And he's greatly missed. We have wonderful memories, my brother and I, of spending time at the Damatos. Oh my God, endless happy memories. And without him, it wouldn't have been the same. So with that, I'm going to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and I expect you all to sing along.
All right.
All right. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
All right.
Yep, introduce him. There you go. Next up is Nicole Damato Nicasio.
It's matter of applause. Thank you so much. I really want to thank all of you for coming here today. It is really
really meaningful for all of us to have such support and love for my family, for my father, for all of us. We all wouldn't be here without him. I mean, especially Gia and Gabe and I. So essentially, I'm planning to read my dad's obituary because after he passed, one of the things we wanted to do is really remember all of his wonderful qualities. Not to say that he only had wonderful qualities. He had a few that were less than wonderful, but for the most part, he was a really wonderful human being. He was a good dad, and he wasn't a perfect dad, but he loved us all, and he was very strong and solid, and he was always going to be there for us. So I'm happy that we could all be here to celebrate him today. So thank you all again. My dad was born on September 9th, 1946, and he departed this earth on May 11th, 2025. My mom was there in the room with him when he took his last breath. So I'm glad he was surrounded by her spirit and love. For better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, those were their wedding vows, and they meant that. They were there for each other all of the time. He was called son, brother, dad, cousin, uncle, papa, friend, husband, daddy-o, and as my mom so eloquently said, I'm quite sure there were a few more choice names that I shall not repeat today. But he was Nicky Babes, Nicky Toons, Lippy LaRue, Spot, Spotopotamus, Daddy-O. He was unique. He was one of a kind. He was good looking. He was strong, smart. He had beautiful handwriting. If you ever got a letter from my dad, just know that he sat down with a ruler and he made your address on the front of that because he was very proud to present it beautifully. He was an excellent storyteller. You could never be around him and not hear an amazing story. He always had a joke. He knew how to deliver a punchline. He had incredible comic timing. He had a spectacular voice. Like somebody said today, you could always hear him coming, you knew it was him. He could sing. He was a great dancer. He loved to iron, of all the things. He loved doing laundry, and you knew. Oop, can somebody help the little one over there? Thank you. And you knew that my dad was really upset when he would go to the basement and do laundry and whistle. That was when you knew don't go around him when he's whistling. He was a great lawnmower. He loved having his lawn looking nice. He always smelled like Irish Spring and Old Spice. He always smelled good. He looked good. His clothes were pressed, clean. He obviously loved to work out. He used to get up at 4 o'clock every morning and go to the gym to work out, which incredible dedication to that. Played a lot of baseball. If you knew my dad, obviously you knew he played baseball. I think one summer, what is he on 4 different leagues? So he was out all day, every day playing baseball. And he passed that love along to all of us kids too. His car was always sparkling, washed, waxed, clean, backed in. Very important. He had obviously a lot of good friends, people that he loved and cared for, and that loved and cared for him, so that's very special. He loved to do a crossword puzzle. He was a lovable curmudgeon, and he loved his family and loved his friends, especially his guys from the old neighborhood. And they were with him till the end. His last days, he saw some people, came to the house to visit with him and, pass along their love to him, which is very special. We shared a home with my dad. My mom shared her life, and all of us have good memories of my dad. He's a really important person in our lives. He's unforgettable, and we hope that his memories just bring all of you comfort as they bring to us. Thank you for sharing all of your memories of him with all of us. It's really something that, keeps you going in the sad times. And my mom put this in there too, which I think is really beautiful, that death is a transition, not an end. It may be an end to this plane, but I really believe that we will all see one another in the next life. So thank you all for being here. We're really happy to have you.
All right.
And now I would like to invite up Nick's lovely wife, Ginger,
Okay.
for his eulogy. Thank you.
Okay, me again. Okay. Where do I begin? One of Nick's favorite sayings was, "Nobody pays for a ride on a flat roller coaster." Well, he got his money's worth. Twists and turns and ups and downs. Sometimes exciting, sometimes not so exciting. I met Nick on my 18th birthday. This cute boy asked me to dance. The name of the song, "Do You Want to Dance?" And I remember it was by Chris Montez. And I don't know why I remember that, but you remember the little things. It's funny what your mind will remember, and guess what? We won the dance contest. Our dance lasted for 60 years. 60 years we have been surrounded by family and friends. They saw us through the good times and the bad times. We had my mom and dad, his mom and dad, my sisters Nancy and Pat, his brothers Glenn, David, Wayne, their kids Anthony, Brian, Jessica, Shauna, Allie, Tasia, Zach, Mike, Al, Dave, and Jeff. We were family. And in that time we had our couple friends, Connie and Steve Friedeck, Marcia and Terry Forbes, Kathy and Lou Patrone. So many memories captured in photographs. And then we had our neighbor friends, our forever friends that became our very close friends. Even though we started out as neighbors, we had Carla and Guy Bernacchi, Leslie and Ken Wells, Lori and TK Klein, our neighbors. They became our forever friends. We had lazy days, playing Uno, watching our kids grow up. Then we had our baseball family, Linda and Doc Dwynan, Cal and Sue Gord. So many trips, watching baseball. Truly some of the best days of our lives. Lucky us. Our kids and their kids have a bond, unbreakable, unexplainable, a family of friends that stood the test of time. We have Shauna and Nico Patrone, Kalani and Emily Wells, Billy and Chrissy, Stephanie and Gina Friedeck, Glenn, Sarah, and Mary Gord, Luke, Jill, Ryan Forbes, Casey and Tommy Klein, Margie, Nancy, Carl, Bernacchi. The seasons have changed. The kids have grown up, and they carry forward our memories we made together. From my heart, I thank all of you for being here today as a family for us. There are more than 8 billion people on earth right now, and yet this soul, Nick Damato, has brought us all together today to celebrate his life. He mattered not only to his family, but to a community of people like you. Did you know Nick? Were you a Chicago Avenue friend? Did you play baseball with him? Did you work with him? Did you taste his meatballs? I hope you were lucky enough to see him sweat, because boy, that man could sweat. Oh boy. Were you at one of our barbecues in Melrose Park? Have you ever watched him cut grass? With a vengeance, just like a baseball diamond. Or did you see him clean and wash and wax his car? Better than a professional. He definitely had a certain charisma about him. He was a jokester, and he could give as well as take a good ribbing. Maybe you didn't know Nick, but you knew his wife, me, or his kids, or his brothers, all good people. If you knew Nick, you knew how much he loved his old neighborhood friends. The bond was something special. They weren't just buddies, they were family. Part of his foundation. Reno, his best friend, Tom, Roach, Mike, Joe, Pat, so many. He never forgot where he came from. He carried those friendships, loyalty, and laughter to the very end. All of the same value system and set of principles and beliefs that guided him. Honesty, kindness, respect, loyalty, hard work, and fairness. Nick was a lucky man, surrounded by family and friends. He never lost his sense of humor. He stayed strong, keeping squared away. And so in the end, the goal is to make it home. Not just in baseball, but in life. And Nick has made it home. Thank you all.
I would like to invite up Nick's brothers, Glenn Damato, David Damato, and in loving memory of Wayne Damato, he's represented by his daughter, Jessica Damato.
Hello, folks. My name is Glenn. If you don't know. And say a few words about my brother. My brother was my hero. When I was a little kid, I just wanted to be him. I wanted to be with him. Anywhere he went, and he would take me, and I felt so good being in his company that he accepted me. He was also my protector. And I'll give you a short story about this. One evening, Deborah and I, Ginger and Nick, were out at dinner downtown. We had a nice dinner, good time, having some drinks. And then we said, let's go to a club. So we go to Excalibur. I don't know if you guys remember Excalibur. So we're dancing and having a good time. And I bump into this guy, knock his drink up. Why he had a drink on the dance floor, I don't know, but I knocked it out of his hand. So I apologized to him. Nick is behind me. And I could hear him going, what does this guy want to do? That was his favorite. So I kept apologizing to the guy. I said, I'm going to buy you a drink. The guy didn't want to hear about it. Nick gets a little closer to me. I can feel him on my shoulder. I says, listen, man, I tried to buy you a drink. I apologize to you. There's only one thing left. I said, meet my brother Nick. Nick got into this guy had never seen a person with this rage. He was sweating, his eyeballs were popping out. Long story short, the guy ends up wanting to buy us a drink. He wants to shake Nick's hand, and Nick's like, oh, fuck, I got out of here. So, brother Nick, rest in peace.
thank you all for coming to the celebration of Nick Damato. My name is Dave, his youngest brother. Nick was the kind of guy that when he played the game of baseball, he played with so much heart and passion. He would always be the first to be out in the field and the first to be back in the dugout, especially if he was going to be batting that inning. And if you knew Nick, he would be sweating like he just got finished running a marathon. His shirt would be soaking wet by the first inning. And yes, of course, who can't forget his politeness and the calls that the umps made. I remember a game when we were playing the Animals. We were down by a run. It's the sixth inning. Nick steps up to the plate. He hits a double in the gap. Now we got the tying run in scoring position. Brother Glenn steps up to the plate. He hits a single. As Nick is headed toward third, he blows right through my dad's sign to slide. He's the tying run. He hook slides in the home, and the ump calls him out. That was the third out. Of course, you know, Nick had to give the ump his opinion on the call he made. The ump threw Nick out of the game. And when you were thrown out of the game, back then, you couldn't just sit on the bench. You had to leave the field. So we all take the field, and in the distance, you can hear Nick from the parking lot screaming with his hands cupped around his mouth, "You suck up, I was safe!" We ended up losing the game 5-4. Thank you very much. Remember that?
Okay, next I would like to invite up Tommy Ryan, a childhood friend of Nick's.
Good morning. You know, they say that in life you have to be a friend in order to have friends. Well, Nick had many friends, and I was fortunate enough to be one of his friends. When Ginger asked me to say a few words about the old neighborhood, I said, what can I say about a guy that I've known for 70 years in a few minutes? So many stories that I have. Some I'll keep to myself, but I have a lot to share. We first met on Chicago and Kedzie, which is where Nick's gonna lay to rest, and it was called Kells Field. And we were, Nick lived on Troy Street off of Chicago Avenue, which is a little bit east of the field, and I lived about 6 blocks west of the field off of Chicago Avenue. And we went to different grammar schools. Nick went to St. Matthew's, I went to Our Lady of the Angels. And so the only time we met, we were like 8 years old, and we met at Little League. And he was with his rap partner, Danny Thomas. And we would be there for about 3 years playing Little League together. And Nicky had third and Danny had short. And then after that, we had so many kids on my block. We had like 30 kids on my block and the next block. So when baseball season was over, Danny and Nick would come by our house, by Trumbull in Iowa, which is Hank Bertucci's house. His wife's over here. And we would play the summers there. We couldn't play ball at Kells Park. That was only organized there. So we had to go to Garfield Park, Hummel Park, or any playground, any wall. We could play fast pitching. We did that all summer. And then when the summer was over and the baseball was over, then we got to go to Pony League. Now that you had to be 12 years old. And that was on Grand and Western. And that was like maybe 18 or 20 blocks away. We had to walk. And we walked, and we were too cool at 12 years old to ride a bike. So we walked. And there was probably about 20 of us, And we got our baseball uniforms on, and we got our baseball bat and our spikes and glove over our shoulder, and we would walk up and down Chicago Avenue going back and forth from the park. But a few days before Nick passed, I was talking to him, and I said, Nick, remember we used to walk back from Smithfield? We walked down Chicago Avenue, and we stopped for hot dogs at Francisco and Chicago Avenue, a place called Freddy's. And I said, we buy a hot dog and fries for 25 cents. And Nick said, how about a nickel refill? I said, well, I forgot about that, but he remembered. And then we went to high school together. I mean, he went to St. Ignatius. He started there. I went down the street at St. Philip's, and we graduated from high school. And in those days, when you got out of high school, you went to work right away. I say out of 100 guys, maybe 3 or 4 went to college. They probably went on scholarships. So we got out of high school, we got a job, and we were all married within 2 years. You know, if you were married at 21, 22 years old, something was wrong. And I remember when Nikki was with Ginger, and like she said before, I think they got married a year before me, 58 years. And then they were together for a couple of years, so that's 60 years. And there's a lot of young people here today that would like to have 60 years with a person. But even if it's 100 years, you still hurt. And that's something you just have to go with. But so then after that we all got married. And I remember, well, I gotta tell you one story I forgot. So we were like 13 years old, and Nikki says to me, you know, there's a dance hall way out west somewhere, and they have a hall and you dance, and from 13 to 16, you can dance between 5 and 7. And then after that, 17 and 18, and then adults. And at that time, we all used to come home from school and watch American Bandstand. And it would be teenagers from Philadelphia dancing with Dick Clark. So Nick says, let's go. You want to go? I said, okay. So we said, we got to take the bus, you know. And the buses in those days had electric cables, you know, and they ran on electricity. Right. They didn't travel very fast. So we were on this bus for about maybe over an hour. And then we had to walk about 6 blocks. So we thought we were near Wisconsin. But actually we're in a place called Elmwood Park. And there was an invisible sign in Elmwood Park in 1963 where it's Italians only. So we would go there, and everybody was from Elmwood Park, Franklin Park, Chillow Park, River Grove, and me and Nikki are from Chicago. So that didn't set good right there. And I'm the only 6'3" blonde-haired guy in the joint. But we were there for most of the summer, and we never had a beef, considering that every girl in the place wanted to dance with Nikki. And Nikki accommodated most of them.
Bobby Darn.
And we spent a lot of time there. But then we all got married, started a family, and you talk about being a friend. Another example of Nick. One of our friends was coming out after doing 10 years, and we were maybe about 30 at the time, and we wanted to have a welcome home party for him. So Nick said, well, we could have it at my house, but let me talk to Ginger first. And Ginger said, yeah, it's okay. So we had about 50 guys coming in and out all night, giving this guy envelopes and talking to him. And he had tears in his eyes the whole night. And he was so happy. Unfortunately, he died. He got killed about 2 months later. But because of Nick, he gave that man, that young kid, one of the best nights of his short life. That's the kind of guy he was. And he was always there to try to get us all together. And when Reno and Ro started the Christmas parties at their community center, Nick was right there helping Reno all the way. And then as the years went on, I think we started with like 40 people, and then we grew to about 150. And that lasted for about 25 years. And then Nick and Reno had a big part in Chicago Avenue golf outings. And we had 144 guys golfing and 200 for dinner. And Nick was there with Reno the whole time, always trying to get all of us together. And then after that, Bentley's for breakfast on Fridays. There'd be a dozen of us for 2.5-hour breakfasts. And that was after
after a little bit of time, we ended up only having a few guys left, and that took a big toll on Nick. It was hard for him to see us go from all these young guys. His best friends, some of his best friends, passed away within a 2-year period, and it was tough on him. But I just want to say that it was a great thing for me to have the friendship that I had with him. And I guess Teresa was telling me before, and about dancing. You know, Nick had that sway about him that was like John Travolta. He said Saturday Night Live, but he didn't know he had it. Some guys wanted to have it and they acted. He didn't have to act about it. He just had that natural thing on him. But every time we got together, he would always talk about his kids and tell us about his kids, and Ginger, how hard she works to make the family have a better life. So I'm sure Nick is up there with the guys down, looking after us and looking after his family. And it won't be too much longer that we'll be joining them. But until then, Nick, rest in peace and thank you for being a friend.
Next up, I would like to invite my lovely sister Marcia to read an unopened letter that she had sent to Nick. Marcia Forbes.
Hi, everybody. Ginger asked me to do this, and I hope I could do it.
That mic on?
When Nick was really sick, I wasn't able to go out and see him for different reasons. So I thought I'm going to go old school and I'm going to write him a card. And I'm going to put it in the mail and I'm going to let him know what he meant to me in my life. And I wanted him to read it and to hear it before he left. But good old U.S. Post Office, it took a month for this card to get from Chicago to Bloomingdale. And Ginger decided to never open it, and she asked me if I would read it. So now you have to see if I can actually read my own handwriting. I was rather emotional when I read it, but look at that. I mean, I'm going to try my best. This is on May the 6th, 2025, a beautiful sunny day. My dear friend Nick, I am thinking of you every day, of all that you have meant to my entire life. Well, since I'm 15 or so anyway. So many memories just flood back from the early days at Ooh La La. That's where Ginger and I worked, at the beauty shop. Ooh La La. And you coming to torture me, playing with my face, as Ginger was saying, with eye gouges and things like that. We used to sit in the mirror and if you look like this, we wouldn't talk to you, Marcia. And I'd go, okay. And then he'd give me rides home with Uncle Reno, which were basically to torture me. And then there was your first apartment, me sleeping in your bathtub one time after he and Reno gave me a glass of wine that was probably this big. And you were the coolest guy ever in your black shiny car, meeting the guys from the corner, Roach and Frog, dances with at Carl Bonifetti's with you and Ginger were always the stars. Morrow, oh geez, what am I writing here? Ginger, stars, and sharing your family with me. Your wonderful family, Joe and Ollie. Your wedding that we stood up at that I'd never forget. Oh my God, I cried so hard at their wedding. I think I stood up with Joey. I don't know if Joey's here someplace. But I will always remember all our good, fun, and happy days. Life is unpredictable and not always kind, but please know that I love you unconditionally and forever. I pray for your peace. I pray for the grace to face the future. I pray for strength. I pray for your family. I pray for love to surround you, and that you will soon be whole again and no more pain. Please feel my love and hugs and know that know what a big part of my life you are. Love and peace, my friend. P.S. When you see Joe and Ollie and Wayne, give them my love. And when you see Reno, give him a kiss and give him the finger. I guess I did right there. I just want to remind us all of a couple of things, that your life is defined by the life you live, not by the death you died. So let's not think about how he died, but let's just think about how he lived, and how cool it is that I looked up at the backboard and that's his birthday. This park is so incredible that they even put Nick's birthday up on the backboard. That's so cool. But I loved him dearly, and we used to always laugh that he had only one song that was written for him, and that was, Nick, go big, banana fan of bo big, if I'm on Mick, you dig. I love you guys.
I'd like to invite Kathy Patrone up. She's going to read why a baseball field is sacred.
This is the one that I printed. I dropped my phone and it's sick, it's filthy. I dropped your phone. It's on the phone.
As you can see, we're starting out with a bang here. Ginger has asked me to read this, of course, in honor of Nick, about why baseball fields are sacred, but I would like to just say a couple things about Nick personally from me. When Marcia and Nick mentioned how Nick would love to torture the people he cared about, it just was indicative of the fact he had a lot of people he was very fond of. I once asked him to pick me up from the airport, and you could tell it was his car because it was the cleanest one coming up the ramp there. And he was talking about going to a baseball game. I said, I'm not going to a baseball game. He goes, aren't you spending the night by us? I said, yes. And he goes, well, then you're sleeping in the bathtub, because if you don't go to the game, you have to sleep in the bathtub. I did not sleep in the bathtub. All right. Another time I was supposed to come in and see them, Ginger, Nick, the kids, and I said, okay, I'll see you in 2 days. He said, oh, we moved. We didn't leave a forwarding address. We're not in the book. Don't try to get a hold of Ginger. And these were his kind moments to me. We had a lot of wonderful times together, a lot of very blessed times, which I'll always be grateful for, especially being part of the Damato family and the Aneka family. So now I'm going to read this. Thank you. Why a baseball field is sacred in honor of Nick Damato. A baseball field is more than just grass and dirt. It's sacred ground. Here memories live. It's where many of us first learned how to play, how to win, and how to lose with grace. It's where we cheered from the stands, shared laughs with friends, and felt the joy of being part of something bigger than ourselves. Baseball fields carry tradition. The crack of the bat, the seventh-inning stretch, the rhythm of the game. It feels like a kind of ritual, familiar, comforting, and timeless. This field, like many others, has witnessed dreams, triumphs, and second chances. It has taught lessons about patience, teamwork, and resilience. And today it stands as a symbol of legacy, of honoring those we love and remembering what they stood for. That's why we're here for Nick and for his family and friends. Nick loved this game. He loved the stories, the friendships, the cheers, and the quiet moments. On this field, we don't just remember baseball. We remember Nick's laughter, his passion, and his spirit. Sorry. And in doing so, in doing all this, we make this place truly sacred. So rest in peace, Nick, and enjoy seeing everybody here that loved and cared about you. Rest in peace.
And everyone, please join me in prayer, written from the heart of Ginger. As we stand on this sacred ground, we thank you for the life of Nick Damato and the joy he found in places like this, places where laughter echoed and love was shared. May this field remind us that God is present, not only in the churches, but wherever hearts are open, memories are made, and love lives on. We entrust Nick to your eternal care. Fill us with peace, comfort those who mourn, and help us carry his spirit forward with faith, with gratitude, and with love. Amen.
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 This concludes the service, and on behalf of the Damato family, thank you so much for being present today, and please enjoy a classic baseball park lunch. Thank you.